Okay. Is my audio and the slides are clear? Okay, then okay, right. So good afternoon. We will continue our lecture series on control systems, and today the topic what we are taken to discuss is introduction to root locus technique. It's a very important topic regarding stability analysis. We can comment about the stability of the given transfer function or the system after we have drawn the root locus diagram, the graphical approach. Okay, and we can see how far the system or what is the verge of stability of the system. Okay, so it is in time domain. It's a graphical technique which is available to analyze the system in time domain. Okay, so we have it in second unit, right? That's which is coming under time domain analysis, right? The graph will be drawn using linear graph sheet. Okay, the graph which will be drawn will be using linear graph sheet, and you can change your scale as per your requirement, right? The scaling of the graph is depending upon our given model or transfer function, and according to our requirement, we can modify our scale of the graph. Okay, right? That's and so today's class we will try to provide you some introduction about root locus. What is root locus? Then what is our steps are involved in it? Okay, okay. Then we will see a few important steps involved in it. How to calculate those particular points or variables to draw the root locus plot. Okay, that's the idea of today's lecture. So initially it was discovered by it's a powerful tool actually. It's a very powerful tool, a graphical tool which is introduced by W.R. Evans in 1948 for analyzing any control systems. And this is a time domain approach. It's a time domain approach, a time domain graphical approach. Okay. Um, okay. What is meant by a locus? Locus is nothing but the path traveled. The path traveled. Okay. Locus by means the path traveled. What path traveled? The path traveled by the roots of the system. We call this as root locus. The path traveled by the roots of the system. While you are changing your gain value k, okay, this gain value k is varied from k equal to 0 to k equal to infinity. Okay, and the path of roots are traced or tracked or traced to obtain the root locus. Understand? For a transfer function, given transfer function, you are supposed to vary the gain k from 0 to infinity, and when you are changing different values of k, for every value of k, your transfer function roots of the system, okay, roots of the transfer function might change, will change actually. Okay, it will change. It will take different points. Okay, the roots will move, and if you follow the path, okay, follow the path of the roots by which they are moving, you will get a plot, and that plot is termed to be the root locus. That is what I have simply made that. What is a root locus? It is a path traveled by the roots while you are varying the gain of the system from k equal to 0 to k equal to infinity. So let us say that you have an open loop transfer function, OLTF, open loop transfer function. G of s is equal to this one, k by s into s plus p1 plus s plus p2. Okay. Now I want a closed loop transfer function, closed loop transfer function, CLTF. Okay, which is C of s by R of s. If I know what is a general formula, if I am having a negative feedback, that to a unity feedback, then I will have G of s divided by 1 plus G of s H of s. where H of S is 1. So substituting these values k by s into s plus p1, s plus p1, and you probably get a final transfer function like k by s into s plus p1, s plus p2. You understand? You understand? Okay, then if you see that, obviously, if you vary k from k equal to 0 to infinity, okay, here also you will be varying k to 0 to infinity. And obviously, the transfer function, okay, the denominator polynomial also varies because this k value is going to change. And because of this k value, this p1, p2 value also will change. So the roots are trying to move from one point to the other based on the movement of the variation of k. And if you are able to trace that, let me take an example and I will explain you. Okay, k by s into s plus 1 into s plus 2. Okay, let us say this is my transfer function. Okay, so this is my g of s. If I convert that into a closed loop transfer function, then I will have it like numerator divided by denominator into plus numerator into a feedback transfer function. I assume that h of s is equal to 1, right? And it is negative feedback. Okay, that is what I have a plus sign here. Okay, then I will have a k value to be there. Okay, so right. So now what happens here? Okay, if I change my transfer function to a value to be available as s squared plus 3s plus 2 into s plus k, and again I can vary. I can substitute that it is s. If you multiply s inside, s cube plus 3s squared plus 2s plus k. So this is my final C of s by R of s. Okay. Now at this stage, if you put k equal to 0, if you put k equal to 0, then what happens? You can see s cube plus 3s squared plus 2s plus k will become s cube plus 3s squared plus 2s, okay, is equal to 0. Okay, that's your characteristic equation because k equal to 0. So s cube plus 3s squared plus 2s plus k equal to 0. K equal to 0, we have assumed that k equal to 0. Okay, so that term vanishes. So my roots are as usual s into s plus 1 into s plus 2, which is equal to 0. So the roots are s is equal to 0, comma minus 1, comma minus 2. Any doubts so far? Any doubts? Any point you want me to repeat again? Hello? Hello, people in the class, please tell me. Okay, right. So no doubts. Right, fine. So now I change my k value to be k equal to 10. Okay, let me take k equal to 10. What happens? Okay, then my s cube plus 3s squared plus 2s plus k equal to 0 will be altered as plus 3s squared plus 2s plus 10 equal to 0. If you have a calculator, kindly tell me what are the roots. Parallelly, I am also working on it. You try to tell me what are the roots actually. 1, 3, 2. Any answers are there? I am getting it like s is equal to minus 3.308, comma, I have a complex root 0.15445. Okay, plus or minus 1.7315 j. Okay, I have a positive side. This were made, right. So these are the roots. You can see actually the root was s is equal to 0, comma minus 1, comma minus 2. Now as the gain value changes, okay, the roots are varying from okay, uh, it is minus 3.308 to 0.1545 plus or minus 1.7315 j. And if you continue to vary that k, Okay, if you continue that very gay, your roots are going to change. So, okay, what happens here? You can see that if you take an S plane, okay, if you take an S plane, which is denoted as S is equal to plus or minus sigma plus or minus j omega. Okay, your y-axis is going to be j omega plus or minus j omega, and your this is going to be sigma minus sigma. Okay, what happens here? Initially, the roots are. Let me choose a different color to note down my roots. S is equal to 0, I have a root. S is equal to minus 1, I have a root. S is equal to minus 2, I have a root. For k equal to 0, okay, for k equal to 0. If I'm taking another color for a differentiation, let me sort that out. Okay, this one. If k is taken as 10, okay, my root has changed to S is equal to minus 3.308. Okay, and I have a root at, okay, this one, plus or minus 0.1445, and this is plus 1.7315j, and this is going to be 0.1545445 minus 1.7315j. Now these are the roots. Okay, this is 0.1545, and this particular is 1.7315j. Okay, likewise the same thing, minus 1.7315j. So now you can see that some of the root, okay, what I don't, we don't know what root has taken which path. If I if I am able to trace that from k equal to 1, k equal to 2, k equal to 3, and all, okay, that movement can be traced further. So these three roots, 0, minus 1, minus 2, has again captured the points minus 3.308, 0.15445 plus 1.7315j, and 0.1545 minus j 1.7315j. So now you can see that these three roots have taken a different point. It has been moving based on my change in my gain value. And if I am able to trace the path, okay, if I am able to trace the path of the roots, the path of the roots, okay, then it is called root locus. Is that okay? Is that clear? Hello, hello, everybody in the class. Any doubts here? If you are able, if you are vary your k value, then the roots are changing. The location of the roots are changing. So if you are able to trace or follow the changes of the roots, the path taken by the roots, how it is traveling as k is varying, then okay, the path is called as locus, a root locus actually, and the number of root locus will be equal to number of poles. The number of root locus will be equal to number of poles. You know what is a pole? Pole is a root in the denominator of a transfer function. Is that okay? Hello. So if I take this particular example, if I take this particular example, okay, how many roots are there? Three roots are there. Three roots. So three root locus branches. Each root has a path. Each root will have a path. Okay. So that's it. Anything you want to ask? Any question is there? Any question is there? Hello. Hello. Any question is there? Any doubts is there? People are there or not? Uh, let me explain you one more important issue. regarding the stability. Okay, why do you want this movement of roots to be traced? Okay, let us say this is your S plane. This is your S plane. So this is sigma minus sigma j omega minus j omega. Okay, it's a complex plane. Okay, and if you take the left hand side, this left hand side, okay, this left hand side is stable region. And if you take the right hand side, what I have done a mistake. The previous, okay, these are all plus no, so you will have minus one here. Okay, that's a mistake what I have done. Let me change that. Okay, people will get confused. Minus one and minus two, and please bear with me. This is not correct. Okay, so that's the problem. Let me take that out. That is let me explain it here. So this is minus 3.308, and okay, this fellow will not come here. This will come here. These roots will be coming here. Okay, okay, this is 0.15445. Okay, the negative side. Okay, this is going to be positive, right? So that's correct. Now we will see that. Okay, so this is your stable region part, and again this is unstable actually. This is your stable region, left hand side. This is your left hand side, and this is your right hand side. And one more uh, region we can take, and that is this particular region. Okay, this one. This exactly the j omega axis. Okay, exactly the j omega axis. That is called as marginally stable region. Okay, so what this diagram provides you an information is, let me use a proper color. Okay, so if poles are in LHS of a plane, system is stable. If poles are in RHS of S plane, system is unstable. If poles are on j omega axis, system is it's marginally stable. Okay, three cases are there: one, two, and third one. If any pole lies on left hand side, okay, let us say we have some poles. Okay, the poles will be represented as cross. Are there in the left hand side, then system is stable. If the poles lie on the right hand side, let us say it is there in the right hand side, then the system is unstable. If some poles are lying on exactly on the j omega axis, then you call this marginally stable system. And why do you get that? Okay, that also can be explained. Okay, let us say you have a transfer function like g of s is equal to 1 by s plus 2. Okay, 1 by s plus 2. And if you take s plus 2 equal to 0, which implies s is equal to minus 2, minus 2 lies in the left hand side. Okay, if you take Laplace inverse for 1 by s plus 2, you will get e power minus 2t. If you draw a graph between t and e power minus 2t, that's your final output g of t, then it is going to be an exponentially decaying curve like this. It varies from 1 to 0. 0 will be at infinity. Okay, so it is a bounded curve. It is a bounded curve. We know the maximum and minimum value of this. The maximum value is 1 and the minimum value is going to be 0. So we know the boundary of the curve. So we call this particular curve as a stable curve, and so the system is a stable system. Any system which has poles, which has all the poles lie in the left hand side of the S plane, okay, then you say that system is a stable system. The other thing goes on the other way. What is that? If your system is g of s is equal to 1 by s minus 2, and if you put s is equal to minus 2, and if you take Laplace inverse for this 1 by s minus 2, then obviously you will get e power 2t. If you draw between t and e power 2t, you will get it like initially it is 1, and it improves, it exponentially increases, exponentially increase, and it reaches the maximum value infinite at infinite, infinite at infinite. So the problem is this is unstable or unbounded. It is unbounded. So based on the movement of the roots, whether the root lies inside the left hand side, whether it lies on the right hand side, it moves to the right hand side for any value of k, you will be able to notify or identify what should be the value of the gain k to maintain your system to be inside the stable region. Okay, what should be the value of k to make your system remain inside your left hand side itself? You know the limit of your k value. Okay, if k varies from 0 to 20, for example, the system will be stable. Beyond 20, if you move, your system moves to the right hand side. That is your roots route moves to the right hand side, which leads the system to be unstable. So this is how your root locus provides you an idea about, okay, how what should be the you can visualize the movement of roots by the root locus, and I will show you some typical root locus plots. So everything is what I have explained is there here. I will show you some. Yeah, you can see that here. You see, for any value of k, the second diagram, if you see that for any value in second diagram, okay, for any value of k, the root lies inside the left hand side only. It is not going to right hand side. This is one root and this is another root. Okay, so what happens? They move inside only the left hand side. So I will say this is absolutely stable for all values of k. For all values of k, system will be stable. Why? Because the root locus is not crossing my j omega axis and it lies only in left hand side. Okay, this is highly stable. And here you can see that at some point, let me take another color so to vary that. You can see that at this point, at j omega axis, at some stage, okay, this encircled in the red color, okay, you can see that the roots are moving, okay, outside the moving to the right hand side. This is your right hand side, this is your left hand side. At some stage, okay, these poles, okay, the complex conjugate poles which is available, okay, is trying to move to the right hand side okay, at some stage of k. So you have a boundary for k to maintain your system to be unstable in your left hand side. And here also you can see all the poles are lying on the left hand side. So your system is stable. For 3, the system is stable. No value of k is making the system move towards right hand side. But here in fourth curve, you can see that some stage of k, some value of k, okay, this is moving away from the left hand side. It is entering the right hand side of S plane. So this is stable only for a few values of k. Beyond a value of k, it becomes unstable. So these can be identified using root locus. Okay, any doubts here? Okay, so what is the condition or okay, what is the condition for root locus? A point to be there in the root locus can be derived from the characteristic equation. This is your characteristic equation, generally 1 plus g of s h of s, which is the denominator polynomial. 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0 for a closed loop transfer function. And from that you can derive it, g of s h of s is equal to minus 1. So the magnitude and angle criteria says that the magnitude value is 1 and the angle is plus or minus 180 degree 2q plus 1. This minus 1, okay, can be written as the magnitude is 1 and the angle of this minus 1 is plus or minus 180 degree 2q plus 1, and q varies from 0 to 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay, the point in the root locus, the point lying in the root locus has to satisfy the condition, these two conditions. The point, for example, 2 plus j3, okay, okay, we have to see that what is the magnitude of this 2 plus j3 and what is the angle of 2 plus j3, whether it is satisfying this magnitude and angle condition. Okay, then that will provide me whether the point lies in the root locus plot. I think I can wind up the class with this particular point. We will see the steps involved in drawing the root locus in the next class probably. Meanwhile, if you have doubts in today's lecture, you can ask me. Any doubts? Hello? Right. So probably in the morning class, I will try to start the same root locus and explain the problem. Through first, I will start what is that steps involved in root locus. Then I will try to take a problem, solve that, and we will know what are the steps involved. So while you are coming to the class tomorrow, you try to have a linear graph sheet, pro circle, scale, and pencil with you. All the stationery is required to draw the graph should be there, which will help us to draw the root locus plot. Okay. So thank you very much for joining today. We will see by tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.